Welcome everyone. Today we are diving into Unit 6 Ecological Interactions, a fascinating and essential part of your grade 10 biology curriculum. In this lesson, we will explore how organisms interact in ecosystem, how energy flows, and how materials like water, carbon, nitrogen, and phosphorus cycle through nature. These concepts are the foundation for understanding how life works on Earth. Let's get started. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to define key ecological terms like trophic level, food chain, and food web. Build food chains and webs using familiar organisms in your local area. Explain how energy moves from the sun to producers, then to consumers. These are big ideas in ecology, and they help us understand the balance of nature and the role of humans play in it. Let's begin with trophic levels. A trophic level shows an organism's position in a food chain. There are several levels. The first one is producers. Producers are at the first trophic level. These are plants and algae that make their own food using sunlight through photosynthesis. The second one is primary consumers, which are herbivores, they eat the producers. Secondary consumers is the herbivores, and there can also be tertiary consumers, which is the secondary consumers. Example: grass eaten by grasshopper, grasshopper eaten by frog, frog by snake, snake eaten by eagle. Each level transfers energy to the next, but with some laws along the way, and let's look at them more closely next. Now let's compare a food chain and a food web. A food chain is a straight line who eats whom. It is simple and easy to follow. A food web is more realistic. It's a complex network of multiple food chains. Organisms usually eat and are eaten by more than one species. In real ecosystems, food webs give a better picture of how energy and nutrients flow. For example, a bird might eat both insects and seeds. It's part of more than one chain. Energy flow in ecosystem. How does energy move in an ecosystem? It all starts with the sun. Plants absorb sunlight and convert it into chemical energy through photosynthesis. That energy moves to herbivores when they eat the plants, and then to carnivores when they eat the herbivores. But here is the key point. Only about 10% of energy is passed on from one trophic level to the next. The rest is lost as heat, movement, or waste. That's why energy pyramids get smaller at the top, and why food chains usually have only 4 or 5 levels. Ecological pyramids. Ecologists use three main types of ecological pyramids. The first one is pyramid of energy. The second one is pyramid of biomass. The third one is pyramid of numbers. Pyramid of energy always upright. It shows the energy flow at each level. Pyramid of biomass shows the total mass of living matter at each level. It is usually upright but can sometimes be inverted. Pyramid of numbers shows how many organisms exist at each level. For example, one tree might support hundreds of insects. These pyramids help us understand ecosystem health. When the base when the base or producers is strong, the entire system thrives. Besides energy, ecosystem also cycle matters like water and nutrients. These cycles involve both biotic components and abiotic components. The biotic components include like plants, animals, bacteria. Abiotic components like air, water, soil. Here is something cool. One organism's waste can become another's nutrient. For example, their leaves decompose into minerals that help new plants grow. Nature recycles everything. Let's start with the water cycle, one of the most vital cycles on Earth. It includes evaporation, water from lakes and oceans turns into vapor, then transpiration, water from plants evaporates, condensation, water vapor cools and forms clouds, precipitation, rain, snow, or hail falls back to earth, runoff, water returns to rivers, lakes, and oceans. Solar energy drives this whole cycle. Water is constantly moving, and that keeps ecosystem alive. Next, we have the carbon cycle, which connects plants, animals, and the atmosphere. Processes include photosynthesis, plants absorb carbon dioxide and make food, respiration, animals and plants release carbon dioxide back into the air, decomposition, dead organisms break down and release carbon, composition, burning fossil fuels adds carbon dioxide to the air. Human activities, especially burning coal, oil, and gas, add extra carbon to the atmosphere, contributing to climate change. Nitrogen is essential for building proteins and DNA, but most nitrogen is in the air as nitrogen gas or dinitrogen, and the plants cannot use it in that form. That nitrogen cycle includes nitrogen fixation, nitrification, assimilation, denitrification. These are the steps to turn the nitrogen gas into usable form of nitrogen by plants. So when nitrogen fixation, when we say nitrogen fixation, bacteria or lightning uh, converts uh, uh, converts nitrogen gas or dinitrogen to ammonia. Then the second step will be nitrification, meaning that other bacteria turn ammonia into nitrates, NO3 with charge, with negative charge. So the third step is assimilation. Plants absorb nitrates and use them to grow. Then the last step will be the denitrification, which bacteria return nitrogen to the atmosphere. Without this cycle, plants and we couldn't grow. Phosphorus cycle. The phosphorus cycle is different. It doesn't involve the atmosphere. Phosphorus is found in rock. It's essential for DNA and RNA or genetic material. ATP, the energy currency of cells. Here is how it works. Rocks release phosphates into the soil through weathering. Plants absorb them, then animals eat the plants. Decomposition returns phosphorus to the soil. But when we overuse fertilizers, excess phosphorus runs into rivers and causes eutrophication, which means algae blooms that harm aquatic life. Let's review some important terms. Biomass, the weight of living material in an area. Ecological pyramid, a diagram that shows feeding relationships. Biofertilizers, natural microbes added to the soil to increase fertility. Eutrophication, too many nutrients in water causes algae overgrowth and kill fish. Remember these terms. They often appear in tests and discussion. Biomass, ecological pyramid, biofertilizers, eutrophication. Let's summarize it. Energy follows from the sun to produce and through consumers, but most is lost along the way. Food chains and food webs show who eats whom. Ecological pyramids helps visualize energy and biomass. Nutrient cycles like water, carbon, nitrogen, and phosphorus ensures that materials are used and ecosystems stay in balance. Everything in nature is connected. When one part is affected, it impacts the whole system. And now it's your turn to think. What happens when the nutrient cycle are disrupted? How do human actions like deforestation or pollution impact this cycle? Feel free to pause and discuss in your classroom or leave a comment below if you are watching online. Let's keep the conversation going. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video to support the channel. Thanks for learning with me. See you next time.